Rightside Nation, Mike Hanley here with rightsidenews.com. It is great to be back on the tube. All is good here in Southern California. I really wanted to jump in. We've had a lot of things going on. We've had NATO. We've had the Peter Strzok hearing, which this video is going to be focused on. And then today, which is the 17th of July, that's about 12 o'clock here on the West Coast, we had Trump meet with Putin earlier behind closed doors, and then after there was a press conference. And so I just kind of wanted to sit down, show a little bit about the Peter Strzok hearing. I watched some of it, not all of it. It was about 4 hours long, but I went ahead and put together some of the information that I have pulled from both C-SPAN. I pull out information from C-SPAN. So if you guys are looking for some of your own information, some of your own contact or content, that's a great place to go, C-SPAN or whitehouse.gov. Of course, you can always do searches on Google. It's a great way to get info, but I like using that information because it's unbiased information. It's on C-SPAN. It's what's going on. Um, and so I went ahead and just kind of dove in a little bit to this Peter Strzok hearing. There were political fireworks from both sides of the aisle. I think we can do a little bit without it, to be honest with you. As soon as Trey Gowdy started talking, so that we have the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee and oversight. So they are an oversight for government. So they have oversight over, and they don't have power over, but they're an oversight committee that oversees that the law is being followed by the FBI and the DOJ. So Peter Strzok is the deputy director of the FBI at one point, and he was involved in the Hillary Clinton email investigation and was also part of the Trump Russian collusion investigation. And so there were a lot of fireworks around and a lot of attention that were brought to the text message between Lisa Page, who is the lady that Peter Strzok, who is the deputy director, and Peter Strzok, who's the deputy director, and Lisa Page. So Strzok has an affair with Lisa Page, who has been subpoenaed and did not show up for her subpoena. So there's a lot of things going on here in terms of Peter Strzok with the Hillary Clinton email investigation. You have the Trump Russian collusion investigation, which is now headed by Mueller. Mueller eventually let go Strzok on that investigation. And then you have the text messages from Peter Strzok to Lisa Page and vice versa. So basically, what this hearing is about, the hearing is about potential bias. And the head of this committee said that there was compelling evidence found that the FBI director, then Peter Strzok, had a predetermined outcome of the Hillary Clinton email investigation. And what the House Judiciary Committee and Oversight Committee is saying is that Strzok, based on what we've seen, especially with the text messages from him and Lisa Page, shows the bias. And that's the evidence. That's the compelling evidence. And not to mention that those text messages were on a government issued cell phone. So Strzok this stuff is like, if these people were even trying to hide anything, were they even trying to hide it? I know they have a lot to hide because this guy is sitting here thinking, oh, what do I say next? How do I word this? And I'll show you some video footage of that because I think it's really important to fill in what I'm saying with the content in the videos that kind of back up what I'm talking about. Because some of the stuff, folks, you just can't make it up. You just can't make it up. Come on. We've got so much going on here. The country's doing so great. We just want this narrative of Trump Russia to be over. We're sick of it. People are sick of it. That's why you got the walkaway movement. People are walking away from the Democratic Party. So, anyhow, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and pull up this first video that I thought was really interesting. And it just kind of outlines and just shows the, I guess, just the political nonsense that goes down. So I'm hiding my screen here, and I'm going to go ahead and play this.
Unquote, that's a quote from the president, or his repeated attempts to fire Special Counsel Mueller directly. In the majority's view, we do not have time to conduct oversight on almost any national security issue, but we have hours on end to discuss Mr. Strzok's affair. Which brings me to my next point. I have come to expect that President Trump will tweet abhorrent things about decent people, but I hope I can expect better behavior from my colleagues. Mr. Strzok volunteered to be here today, just as he volunteered to appear 2 weeks ago for what turned out to be an 11-hour interview. You don't have to like him, but you have to treat him and any witness before this committee with respect. Questions like, do you love Lisa Page? And who did you vote for in the last election? Questions that presidents posed in his interview are not relevant to any aspect of our official business. I would say the same of the majority's treatment of Deputy Attorney General Rosenstein on June 29th, which was at best uncivil, and of the committee's treatment of Lisa Page, which has been unfair to say the least. Mr. Chairman, I agree with you that Ms. Page must eventually comply with a duly issued subpoena, but it is beneath your office to suggest, as you did this week, that her decision not to appear for deposition means, quote, she has something to hide. It is beneath our committee to call her pathetic, as Mr. DeSantis did. It has nothing to do with the swamp, as Mr. Jordan suggested.
Deflection. So this guy Nadler is talking about how the House Judiciary Committee doesn't have time to look into serious issues, and he mentioned the immigration issue, children at the border. Okay, well, yeah, I'll give it to him. That's an important issue. But this is in regards to the 2016 presidential election where Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump were both running for president. And the email investigation and the content of those emails were not completely turned over, and there was confidential on those confidential email information on those emails. So what I'm trying to say here is this is far more important because it's the basis of our republic. The election and the voting is the basis of our republic. And so if people do not have all of the information that is necessary to them to make a proper decision when voting for the President of the United States, that, my friends, is the most pressing issue. And when the information is being withheld from the subject of the investigation, i.e. Hillary Clinton, that is a major problem. So this guy, it's a complete deflection. And it's just, I mean, it's nonsense. It just doesn't even hold up. And so sometimes I wish I was a lawyer because you just sit there and read these guys, just listening to what they're saying. They're not even making sense because they're saying that the immigration issue is more pressing when the whole basis of our republic is based on the life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And people vote for their lives and for their freedoms and for potentially their happiness based on that the freedoms that are provided by the Constitution of the United States. And so the Constitution, a lot of people vote, constitutionalists, vote for people that they believe are going to uphold those ideals the best they can. And if we the people, are not given the accurate information and the whole truth and the complete truth, then we have a difficult time making decisions, right? That's for anybody. There's so much misinformation. We see it out there all the time. I mean, we have CNN, fake news media. It's propaganda. All they do is propagate nonsense. And so this is kind of my point. We as people need the information, and we need it timely, and we need accurate information. And there's so much misinformation that's out there. I think what this guy is talking about is just a complete deflection. So I just kind of wanted to show you about how they're picking and prodding certain topics when really the most pressing information and the most important is what was going on with this email investigation and the Trump-Russian collusion. Potentially, I don't think so, because based on everything that I've seen, there's no solid or hard factual information that Trump had colluded with Russia during the 2016 campaign. And even in these text messages, Strzok talks about an insurance policy. So even in the event that Trump won, they were going to have an insurance policy, and we're going to get into that here. So I don't want to go on too long. I've already been going on for 10 minutes, but I wanted to show you. And lastly, it talks about on here, he talks about Jim Jordan talking about the deep state. And I mean, I think it's like 65 to 70% of Americans now believe that the deep state exists. I mean, yeah, of course we do, because it's a bunch of fucking bullshit. I mean, excuse my French, but let's be real here, people. We know there's misinformation. We know there's manipulation of the law on the highest levels. And the thing that got me is Peter Strzok wasn't answering a lot of the question because the FBI said he couldn't answer them because it's the basis of an ongoing investigation. But that is the whole job of this oversight committee. So the oversight committee is making sure that the FBI and the DOJ are handling things and have handled things appropriately, and that's the whole point in this hearing. So they make sure that they're doing their job, and that these hearings, or excuse me, and that during the hearings, they want to make sure that these investigations are handled accurately and properly. So it's all intertwined. It all comes full circle, like I've always said. And like I mentioned, this guy talks about there's no deep state. Yeah, okay, yeah, we believe you on that one, brother. So I'm gonna go ahead and sorry, I got a dog barking over here, neighbor's dog. Uh, Let me go ahead and pull up more of these videos that I went ahead and got together for you. This one's really good. So this is a tweet from Jim Jordan, and mind you, Jim Jordan's nephew, who Jim Jordan was previously a college wrestling coach at Ohio State University, and his nephew was actually killed in a car crash. Now, this is something that's very concerning to me because we always talk about the deep state and these different things that go on within the deep state and within the government. And I think this is extremely crucial to talk about because I don't believe that there are a lot of coincidences. So Jim Jordan's nephew was killed, and then there was a political onslaught against him because he is getting closer and closer to figuring out this dossier and where the information came from and how it came about. And he is being politically slandered now, saying that he knew about some type of sexual assault, and then his nephew was killed, and I believe in a car accident. So all of these things are, we have to have a very critical eye on the information that we're hearing, on what we know, and we have to try to make a little bit of sense. And to me, it doesn't add up. To me, it just never adds up. So Jim Jordan, he's figuring out what's going on with these investigations, with the dossier, with Fusion GPS. He's getting slandered for his time at Ohio State, saying that there was sexual assaults, and then his nephew dies in a car accident, I believe. So all of this, I don't know, it just doesn't add up. And you wonder what really is going on. So I'm going to go ahead and play this. It says Peter Strzok admits that FBI got parts of Dossier from top DOJ official Bruce Orr, whose, by the way, his wife, what it says right here, Nellie, worked for Fusion GPS. So his wife, Nellie, got this information from Fusion GPS, and she gave the information to her husband, Bruce Orr, who was at the DOJ, and the DOJ then gave that information to the FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigation. I'm going to go ahead and play this for you guys.
Personally received documents from Mr. Orr, but the FBI did. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And you also said the FBI got documents from a different source in mid-September. Different source than whom?
Different source from Mr. Orr. It was not Mr. Orr who provided the initial documents that I became aware of in mid-September.
So Mr. Orr did not hand you the dossier?
Mr. Orr didn't hand me anything. Mr.
FBI.
Orr provided information to the FBI that included material that is what everybody's calling the dossier. Reporting from Mr. Steele.
Say that again. Say that sentence again. Mr. Orr provided what?
He provided some elements of reporting that my understanding is originated from Mr. Steele.
So Bruce Orr did give the FBI information relative to the dossier?
Yes.
Wow, that pause was very revealing. One of the more explosive revelations during today's marathon House hearing with disgraced FBI agent Peter Strzok. Joining us now with more, Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan. Oh, by the way, Congressman Jordan, welcome to the club. If you support Donald Trump, you had to know the lies, the smears against you are obviously a political attack.
Yeah,
I'm sorry you're going through that.
Yeah, you've been through it. You know what it's like. So thank you.
Yeah.
But today,
I know it every day. It's all of us. Anyone that supports the president.
Exactly right.
And I'm sorry you and your family have to go through that.
Thank you. Today, think about that. Top DOJ official Bruce Orr actually hands parts of the dossier to the FBI. And remember, Bruce Orr's wife, Nellie, worked for Fusion GPS, who was paid by the Clinton campaign to put this entire dossier together. This is the first time, to my knowledge, that the FBI has admitted they got parts of the dossier from Bruce Orr, a fellow DOJ employee. That's scary.
And the wife of Bruce Orr, wasn't she one of the ones that worked for Fusion GPS that
All
had
summer
the
long.
money that was funneled through Perkins Coie, that hired the foreign national, and that got Russian lies? Oh, Russia tried to impact the election through Hillary. Is that not true?
Exactly. Bruce Orr, fourth-ranking official at the Department of Justice. His wife works for Fusion GPS in the summer. He gets information, passes it to the FBI. That becomes the basis to spy on the Trump campaign. Plain and simple. This is the first time, to my knowledge, the FBI has admitted that, and it was good that we got some of that information out today. So this whole investigation...
The hesitation.
Yeah, well, yeah.
He hesitated. He didn't want to answer your question.
Sure did. It took me 3 rounds to get it out of him. But I'll tell you what, this investigation started flawed with the dossier. And Matt Gaetz had some great questioning where when Mueller gets rid of Strzok, it's now flawed on the back end as well, because Bob Mueller didn't even ask Peter Strzok about all these text messages that show his animus to Donald Trump, to President Trump. So Bob Mueller, when the day he fired him, it was like a 15-minute meeting. He didn't even...
So Bob Mueller goes ahead and fires Peter Strzok, and he didn't even ask him about the text messages that have been shown on a government device. So you're really seeing Jim Jordan here on Hannity really lay this thing out, and it's all connected. It all comes full circle, folks. I'm telling you, it really does. You have Nellie Orr, who works for Fusion GPS, gives a portion of the dossier to Bruce Orr, her husband, who Jim Jordan said was the fourth-ranking official at the DOJ. Then Bruce Orr, gives that information to the FBI. I mean, and so this is all made up. And the whole idea is Hillary Clinton is really the one that's guilty here. And they turn this all around and they try to make it about Donald Trump. And this is their insurance policy. So if anything was going to happen, and Donald Trump somehow was going to win this election, because Donald Trump can't get past 2%, he can't get past 6%, he can't get past 24%. Oh, he's reached his top of his support. Look, this is the deep state, and that's why I put that in there. It was the very last comment from that guy Nadler. Oh, the deep state, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that is the deep state. Because they're all connected. And you're telling me this isn't set up for a reason this way? You're telling me that these people aren't doing this on purpose? If you think that, I think you're out of your damn mind, in all honesty. I mean, I don't think you're being honest with yourself. I think it's a bunch of hogwash. So I want to go ahead and move on a little bit. So it's a tweet from, I'm going to follow this guy, Paul Sperry. Jim Jordan is getting closer and closer to confirming the Dozier came to the FBI and Strzok's CI team. So from Bruce Orr at the DOJ and got it from his wife Nellie. So this is exactly what we've been talking about. But I just kind of wanted to further, you know, enforce why I think this to be true, and kind of some of these people that are I'm getting the information from. This one's solid too.
When you say those things, you never cross to believe that when you say things like F Trump and stop Trump and impeach Trump, that those are just personal beliefs. And that when you say those things, you never cross that line, that bright, inviolable line, and allow it to impact your official conduct. That's really what this comes down to, that you're asking us to believe, isn't it?
Sir, I'm asking you to believe, and I'm offering you evidence.
Yeah, well, you
whether
have.
It's
You've
the
been,
IG report,
you've
whether
made
it's
it crystal
anything that's
clear.
been found, that there's been no active bias
listen,
found anywhere.
You have under oath been as clear as a bell on that. You've said it over and over again. And because of that, I'm almost embarrassed to ask you this question. Of the approximately 50,000 text messages that I've seen with your personal beliefs like F Trump, stop Trump, impeach Trump, go ahead and confirm on the record that none of that occurred on an official FBI device or on official FBI time. Go ahead and do that.
Sir, no, they did. Many of them did occur.
Oh, they did.
And I would say
Okay,
of the
so
50,000, sir.
So really, no, I'll give you a chance at the end. So what you really meant to say was that when you said you never crossed that bright, inviolable line, what you meant to say was, except for 50,000 times, except for hundreds of times a day where I went back and forth expressing my personal opinions about effing Trump and stopping Trump and impeaching Trump on official FBI phones, on official FBI time. Other than that, you never cross that line. I'm sure there are 13,000 FBI agents out there that are beaming with pride at how clearly you've drawn that line. Agent Strzok?
So to me, I mean, that shows clear bias right there. And it was just proven. It's on an FBI device. It's on an official government device where he's sending these text messages. And he's supposed to be investigating both Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. And so in some of his texts, and I don't have all the images for him, but I mean, you're hearing all this stuff right here. So I'm obviously not just making this up. Whereas like Hillary should win 1,000,000-0. That, and Gowdy talked about this, saying that you really believe that there wasn't one single person that was going to go ahead and vote for Donald Trump. And this is the whole idea here. This guy is sitting here and is supposed to be unbiasedly investigating both Hillary Clinton and then finds her not guilty of some of this information because, for whatever reason, because the FBI under Comey suggested that the DOJ not press charges or bring charges against Hillary Clinton. And when does the FBI make such a recommendation at such a crucial time? If you have the information, you say, this is what we have found, and then you don't say anything. So and not only that, Loretta Lynch, who is the head of the DOJ, she was the one who ultimately made that decision. So whether or not she agreed with Comey, who was at the FBI, that they should not bring charges against her, Loretta Lynch was still the person whose dime or watch that falls on. She is the one that is responsible. So it doesn't really matter whether or not she agrees with the FBI. It's ultimately Loretta Lynch's decision whether or not to bring charges against her. So, I mean, you're seeing all of this. So Peter Strzok is sending this all on a government-issued device. And so we'll see this further later on because I have some more videos to show you. This goes to the very heart of it because Hillary Clinton didn't turn all of her information, and Peter Strzok says that's okay because she can be the one that determines what information to turn over or what information not to turn over. We have Peter Strzok's text from his cell phone, but from his government device, but we don't have it from his personal cell phone. Could you imagine what information is on that personal cell phone? I mean, now that has to be some really juicy stuff, folks. I'm telling you. I mean, this guy and Lisa Page, who, by the way, and you heard this earlier, didn't show up for her subpoena. She didn't show up. She has to show up. And apparently in a behind closed doors meeting with the House Judiciary Committee, who is the same committee as the one that is holding this hearing that I've been showing you, she has been helpful. So she has information. So, I mean, this is, you can't even make this shit up, folks. I mean, you really just can't make this stuff up. I thought this was great. Pecksniffian. This describes Peter Strzok to a T. Pretending to have high moral principles, sanctimonious and hypocritical. I mean, do you have a better word? That term is going on this YouTube video. Gonna throw another one on here right now, all right?
I'm aware of their statements to us about how they did it.
And do you think it was okay for Secretary Clinton to determine what could or couldn't qualify for her to turn in under the Federal Records Act?
I can't speak to that. That was a decision, my understanding, between her and her attorneys. And
okay, but you're aware that in her production she failed to deliver some items that have now been ruled as classified. Correct?
I mean, look how hard he's grasping. He's like looking up, like, how do I say this so that I don't perjure myself? I just had to stop the video really quick because I was noticing how he was just reaching and grasping for straws, just not knowing exactly what to say or how to say it, because no matter what, he's trying to cover up the truth. And when you testify, you're under oath like he is now. It's the whole truth and nothing but the truth. And he is not delivering the whole truth. So, potentially, is he guilty of some type of crime here already? I don't know. Probably not. They won't be able to prove it, but I just want to raise that question. I'm going to go ahead and continue.
Correct.
I'm aware that we recovered information that was not in the material that she turned over. I don't know if it was her failure, the failure of the attorneys conducting that sort, or simply because she didn't have it. I don't know the answer to that question.
So I bring up something that came up in the previous rounds. So far, only you have determined what should be turned over from your private emails or your non-government emails and text, what should be delivered because it was government in nature. You've made that decision.
That's right.
And it's your position that nobody else in the way of a government entity should be able to look over your shoulder, so to speak, and make that decision.
That's right.
So you think it's okay for the target, and you are a target, of an investigation to determine what should be delivered rather than, if you will, the government, right?
Sir, I'm not aware of any investigation of which I'm a target.
Well, you're a target of our investigation. We think that you had a bias and you acted on it, and that's been made pretty clear. So I'm going to just ask one series of questions very quickly, if I could. You did a number of texts. All of the texts that are presented to us, as far as I know, came from your government phone, correct?
I believe that to be the case, yes.
So you've made no text available from your private phone, is that correct?
That's correct.
Did you ever text on your private phone?
I did.
Did you ever text Lisa Page on your private phone?
I did.
Did you ever text Lisa Page on your private phone similar text to the ones you did on your government phone?
By similar, you mean what?
Commenting on Mr. Trump or Hillary Clinton or anything else political in nature.
I don't specifically recall, but it's probably a safe assumption that yes,
so
I did.
It's likely that they'd be similar.
It's a safe assumption. I don't.
So your personal phone has likely similar text to the ones that we found on your government phone. That's correct?
I would say it has similar expressions of personal belief. Yes.
Okay, so in front of you have a one sheet of paper that was presented to you a few minutes ago, and I'm going to just go to a date and then ask you to read your own words. March 4th, 2016.
You want me to read this?
Yes, please.
Yes, sir. OMG, he's an idiot.
May 4th, 2016.
Now the pressure really starts to finish MYE.
July 19th, 2016.
Hi, how was Trump other than a douche? Melania?
July 21st, 2016.
Trump is a disaster. I have no idea how destabilizing his presidency would be.
August 6th, 2016.
I don't believe I wrote this text, sir.
Okay, it's been attributed to you, so we'll go on to the next.
Incorrect.
August 8th, 2016.
Again.
And I'll preface it by saying this for context. Ms. Page said, not ever going to become president, right? Right?
No, he's not. We'll stop it.
Repeat that again.
No, he's not. We'll stop it.
August.
So we could go on and on with all of these text messages that go back and forth between Peter Strzok and his mistress, Lisa Page. But I think it just shows. I mean, they're setting up this insurance policy before the election is even over. They're trying to stop them. They're trying to get something together, trying to do something. And this is the deep state, folks. This is the deep state. They are trying to create some type of insurance policy that if Hillary Clinton doesn't win, Trump would get impeached by colluding with Russia. And that's what this is. That's why they produced the dossier with Fusion GPS, the DOJ, and then the FBI investigated it. And that's why they put it together. I think it's that plain and simple. I mean, can you believe this? And this, my friends, is the most pressing issue, that our republic is at threat by rogue actors in our government. And it's also important to note that these people are not elected officials. We have not elected these FBI officials. They've been appointed by people that we have elected. But this is why it's so concerning, because they have the ability to lie, manipulate, and deceive. And for me, this is why this whole thing is so important. And I think a lot of people believe that. And they're undermining, not only are they trying to impeach the current president, DJT, Donald J. Trump, baby, number 45, not only are they trying to impeach the guy, but they're undermining the entire presidency. Well, they're trying to. I mean, the guy is killing it. Trump, he's the man. He's a killer in the best way, okay? I don't mean it like he's a killer. The guy, he knows what's up. Master negotiator. And look, while this is all going on, they have a couple days before they have this hearing on the email investigation and potential, or where they got the information on the dossier with Fusion GPS. And those people were speaking with people from Russia, and they have this hearing right before. And then Trump still goes over to Helsinki and meets with Putin behind doors and has a press conference today. I mean, they just can't stop him. They're trying to do anything they can. And I'm worried that they'll hurt him, to be honest with you. But let's not go into that. I'm going to go ahead and pull up one more thing. I have one last note. It's Gowdy on this right here.
Or a prejudgment.
Talking about bias.
Making up of your mind ahead of time based on anything other than the facts, and that is exactly what he did. Bias is saying Hillary Clinton should win the presidency 100 million to 0 when she was still under investigation, wasn't even the nominee, hadn't been interviewed, and 30 other witnesses had also not been interviewed. In March of 2016, Agent Strzok had Clinton winning 100 million to 0, even though the investigation was far from being over.
So this is why Peter Strzok, before the investigation into Hillary Clinton's email server, Peter Strzok, before it's over, before the investigation is over, he has her winning 100 million to 0. I mean, what is this? What is this? This is a guy that's supposed to be responsible for investigating Hillary Clinton. And then when she doesn't win, they turn around and they create this fake dossier to try to impeach Trump. This is the deep state at its finest, and we're draining it. The swamp is being drained. It's dirty. It's murky. There's some nasty creatures under there. And I've talked about this before. It's worse than we all think. It's worse than I think, and I am pretty pessimistic about some of these people. But hey, I really appreciate you guys turning in today. I sincerely hope that you guys like some of this content, some of these videos. I just tried to break it up a little bit. It was a 4-hour hearing, and I thought these were some of the things that I thought were important, that were pressing issues. I'm going to try, I work about here in a couple hours. I'm going to try to get home tonight and do a little something on Russia or the Trump-Putin press conference today. So anyways, it's an honor to have you with me. Thank you, Right Side Nation. This is Mike Hanley with rightsidenews.com. Don't be left, be right.